So, having read the book, and it is a moving sort of personal account of how difficult this was. I guess my basic question is, was it worth it? Was it worth it for Ken Starr? Was it worth it for the country?
It had to be done, so in that sense, it was worth it. It was wildly unpleasant for everyone involved, obviously the president, the first family, but also for the prosecutors. I mean, we were under unrelenting assault. So there are a lot of echoes of what happened now 20 years ago and what's happening right now.
Well, exactly, with Paul Manafort pleading guilty just today and the Mueller investigation. Talk about some of the echoes. What are the parallels that you see? I mean, for example, we have a White House that certainly is not supporting the Mueller investigation, I think it's fair to say. You had a White House that certainly was not supporting what you were doing.
Yeah, that's a very graphic similarity. President Clinton did not attack the prosecutor, yours truly, and the team directly, but he did it through surrogates, and he did it very effectively. Lots of allegations, including leak allegations. And so I think we're seeing the same kind of dynamic. In fact, I've seen attributions to the Trump legal team saying we're just taking a play out of the Bill Clinton playbook, demonize the prosecutor and the team. We're also seeing an echo, David, today with the guilty plea of Paul Manafort and now the indication that he'll be cooperating with the investigation. You know that as a lawyer, that prosecutors would prefer for a defendant to say, I'll cooperate with you, as opposed to let's have another trial.
And something that might be different, and I wonder about your thoughts on this, is when all was said and done with Monica Lewinsky, it was about a sexual act and a president lying under oath. I think it's fair to say he lied in that deposition. That was what it was about. If there is something here, and we don't know right now, we don't know, but if the worst is true, we have a possible collusion with a foreign power, Russia no less, with a campaign, if not the president himself. Isn't that more fundamentally a risk to the country than a president lying about a sexual act?
It's a very different kind of risk, and it's profound and obviously goes to the heart of who we are. There is, as you've indicated, we don't know, but there's been no indication of actual collusion. The indictments that Bob Mueller and his team have brought thus far suggest a very vicious and well-funded campaign by Russian interests to essentially sow seeds of discord in the United States. One example in one of the indictments is the funding by Russian interests of 2 campaign rallies here in New York on the same day, one for Trump, one anti-Trump. Just let's stir the pot and get people really angry at one another. But I happen to think we're a strong people. We'll overcome that. But yes, quite different. However, when we go back to the Lewinsky phase of the investigation, David, if you read the final count in our referral to the House of Representatives, you'll see that that was about abuse of power. Different, but the invocation of executive privilege improperly, the creation of a phantom privilege to keep Secret Service agents from doing. So there was a use of the levers of power as opposed during a presidential campaign to achieve personal ends.
Another rough parallel was you had Janet Reno as Attorney General, who didn't fire you, didn't stop you affirmatively, but didn't give you much support. We have a Jeff Sessions that the president keeps saying, you know, it should never have happened. We shouldn't be there in the first place. Can Mueller really go forward without support from Jeff Sessions? And can Jeff Sessions really survive this?
I think he can, that is, Bob Mueller, is just fine, because I have a feeling, I don't know, that he has the full support and confidence of Rod Rosenstein, who is the acting Attorney General in light of the fact that Jeff Sessions recused himself. So the parallel is quite different, actually, in light of the Janet Reno. There were 2 Janet Renos, the Janet Reno of the first Clinton term and early in the second term, when she was very cooperative and supportive. But when the Monica Lewinsky situation hit, a cold breeze blew over the Justice Department, and we felt the chill. The cooperation at that stage not only ended, but it turned into active, we're going to investigate you and the like. And I recount all this in the book.
Exactly. The Attorney General does report to the President of the United States, serves at the pleasure of. Why doesn't President Trump just fire Jeff Sessions if he's that upset? And by the way, what would be the consequence if he did that and got rid of Mueller?
I think that there would be hell to pay if the president fired Mueller or ordered the firing of Bob Mueller. Jeff Sessions, I think, is an honorable person who understandably recused himself. So I think the president obviously has that prerogative, but it'd be very hard to get a new attorney general confirmed. So we would have Rod Rosenstein as the acting attorney general of the United States indefinitely.
In the meantime, we're about to have, it appears, a Judge Kavanaugh, who has been serving in the court you used to serve on, become a Justice Kavanaugh. It's not done yet, but it looks like it's headed in that direction. Tell us what you know about Judge Kavanaugh and what effect he will have, if any, on the Supreme Court.
Well, he's a person of great ability and integrity. I think everyone saw that who tuned into the confirmation hearings, that he is a superb lawyer, very respected judge, 12 years on the Court of Appeals. So his credentials are sterling. In terms of where he will be, I think he will be very much in the vein of those who take the Constitution seriously. I think he will be in the vein of an Antonin Scalia. And that's obviously what is causing a lot of people to say, hey, I think we better try to stop this. But it appears, given his credentials and the support that he has, including from liberal, progressive academics, that I think he'll be fine.
So to wrap this all up and come back to your book, in the end, as you look back at it now, is the Republic stronger for having had the Ken Starr investigation? I mean, suppose we had just averted our gaze and said, we like what he's doing with the economy, we like what he's doing in other ways, he is elected, let's not pay attention to this, some would say, peccadillo, and the fact that he did lie about it, no question.
Well, he committed perjury, and he obstructed justice, so he committed crimes. As odd as it seems, still 20 years later, I think we're stronger because the system worked and we held the president accountable. And yet we also erred on the side, and I think rightly so, of stability. Don't use impeachment lightly, and I think that's one of the echoes of the past that we're hearing today, that what we learned from that entire episode is impeachment is hell.